joining the program. He's going to have Eric Neander on the show later, and of course, he's going to, have it in a way where they think that this is going to put the team in a position to succeed. And I understand that certain guys have options and other guys don't have options. But Tom, you and we're in the same kind of thing, brother, where we defend this team and we try to say, hey, you got to trust, err on the side of their judgment. They make a lot of great decisions. But this one, man, where the kid's hitting 333 over the last 15 games, he's the most exciting guy since Arozarena. Like, people, for all the bad things going on in the offseason, he's part of the equation of people like, hey, maybe this team's got a little something here. This is a strict gut punch here right before the game tonight.
Happy Friday.
Hey!
Hey, buddy. Hey, Jay Bird. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, man.
There's just no other way around it. Going back to February in spring training when I saw Chandler Simpson kind of doing his thing, and I remember going on the air saying, look, the Rays have to do what they did years ago when Joe Maddon was the manager and they had B.J. Upton and Carl Crawford. That's how you have to attack the opposition. Right. You're not going to outmuscle the Yankees or the Dodgers or anybody else. You're the Rays. You have to understand what you are. You have to understand where your strengths lie. Power is not what the Rays do. It's speed. They lead the majors in stolen bases. Chandler Simpson was stealing at will last night. He had 3 stolen bases. He provides that kind of dimension that a lot of teams are not prepared for, Jay. You know that. You coached this game. You played this game. I mean, the Rays have the ultimate weapon that they're ramming down people's throats. Why go away from that?
Yeah, and it's tough because I know what they're going to say. They're going to talk about the balance with the lineup. They're going to talk about Mangum, and they're going to talk about options. The guy, Christopher Morel, right-handed bat, even though, come on, he's not going to be a part of this team's future going forward. We know that. You kind of take it for a loss. You kind of move on. I just think this is one of those moves, Tom, where it could hurt the Rays, right? Like, you lose this game tonight, right? And then you lose the next game. You're like, damn, man, like, you have so many good things going and good vibes going. And this is a guy that's the center point of everything. He's the guy that's starting to really, like, you've seen the outside of the Tampa Bay area. You've seen the Simpson guy. You're talking about a guy that's putting the pressure on the defense, even on routine ground balls, Tom. I worry what the after effects is of this move for this team because they're playing so well.
They're playing great. Why in the world would you want to disrupt any kind of momentum that you have right now? So from that standpoint, I don't understand it. I do understand, Jay, as you know, that there are politics that go into a lot of decisions in every walk of life, every profession. It happens in broadcasting. It happens in, football, baseball, what have you, healthcare industry. And the fact that Christopher Morel doesn't have any options, and he was the centerpiece of the Isak Paredes trade. I mean, the Rays don't want to admit that failure just yet, but I just don't understand why you would disrupt what you have going right now. They're playing great. They scored 13 runs last night. They're on a big-time roll. They're above 500. You're in second place. And Chandler Simpson is one of the biggest reasons why. So I don't understand the move. Eric Neander will be on with me later, and he's going to have some explaining to do for sure.
And I think this is one of the problems with the Rays, right? Because you and I are not one of those people that, like, we're going to bash every move. We're going to bitch and moan about the finances and stuff like that. There's a lot of it is what it is when it comes to talking about this team, right? A lot of is what it is. They're making the best of what they got. But there's also certain moves, Tom, where there's an optics feel to it. There's an image feel. And part of the Rays and things that they need to do is they need to make sure that, they're, I don't want to say maybe entertaining, but like they got to show investment to the fans. They got to show like, hey, we're going to try to put a product on the field, because that's something that they're highly questioned about every single year, whether it's the payroll, whether it's Stu's fault or whatever. They got to make the best out of a bad situation. A move like this, just on the surface level for casual fans, is bad for optics, Tom. And I feel like terrible talking about this in a way because they're playing so good. They're playing so well the last couple of weeks. And now this is such a fly in the ointment. What do you tell a Rays fan? Just wait to hear from Eric Neander later on the show? Because to me, that's the next step, because I don't care what anybody else has to say. I'm going to tune into 3:30 today. Is that when he showed?
3:30. Yep.
3:30 today. You're live. Are you live on location? I saw today.
I am. Yeah. Moss and East on of North Tampa, Florida Avenue. So anyone's in the neighborhood, they can come on by.
Go check them out, man. But I guess we just got to wait for Neander, right?
Listen, it sucks,
Yeah.
Jay. This sucks.
Yeah.
You have everything going in your favor. The offense is scoring runs, you're manufacturing runs. And the reason why you're doing that is you're leaning on your speed, which I
Right.
think is one of their biggest assets right now. Pitching, defense aside, it's the speed. It's their ability to threaten the opposition. I love taking the extra base. I love the double steal. Chandler Simpson produced a run all by himself in that
Right.
one inning last night. He gets on base, steals 2 bases, comes in on the error. So I hate it. I hate it. I hate everything about this move. And I'm looking for answers just as much as every other Rays fan out there. And later on today at 3:30, look, Eric is a sharp guy, and he looks at things from many different prisms that the normal fan doesn't. But on the surface, this move is not a good move. It stinks.
Yeah. And I know they have to operate in a different way because they're playing a completely different game than a lot of other teams because of their payroll and because of the options. And I get that, but you have to understand, man, if you're making moves like this, you're pissing off a fan base that do you agree that it's a very fragile fan base right now? And I'm not saying that as a slight, but I'm just saying because of everything that's going on, like people ask me all the time, where are the Rays going to play? Where still to this day. And I'm going to be coaching again this summer. I just announced the other day I'm going to be traveling to Alabama and North Carolina, South Carolina, coaching baseball. And bro, when I travel, people ask me about the Rays, and that's going to happen again. People are going to say, "What's the deal with the Rays?" And it's a tough situation, man. But outside of the speed, what have you liked about this team when they've turned this slow start around? Because man, they've been playing really good baseball as of late.
Well, they're getting contributions from a number of different guys. Brandon Lau, you know as well as anybody, he is the streakiest dude like I've ever seen. And when he gets on one of these heaters like he's been on in the last week or two, he can carry a team. So he's been incredible. Junior Caminero, you find it interesting, by the way, that 2 things. Cash benched him last Wednesday in the afternoon game against Hunter Brown. I thought that was a sly move by him. As a 21-year-old, you take a step back, you can exhale, you see things from a different angle. Then they had the off day on Thursday. And ever since then, Jay, he's been on fire. And also, another event that kind of coincides with it is, and this will give fuel to the fire to those fans who are saying, well, they should fire the hitting coach. He summons his guy from the DR to kind of come up and take a look at what's going on with him. Isn't that what a hitting coach is for, perhaps? Right. So I think he's been on a roll since those 2 events happened.
Yeah, and I wonder what that means. Usually you don't, unless there's the team's really struggling, do you fire a hitting coach or a pitching coach? And the Rays obviously aren't doing that right now, but it's something that maybe the Rays look into after the season. I got a great relationship with Brady North, the assistant hitting coach with Chad Mottola, and I know their big thing when they're talking about hitting is rumble strips. That's how they work with the hitters. They think about it like rumble strips on the highway. If a guy's messing up, like you just kind of give him a little bit of information so he can kind of get back on the highway. Unfortunately for Junior, he needed more than that. He needed to go to the mechanic. He needed a full transmission change to get it. Yeah, he gets on top of the ball way too much, and he's grounding into more double plays than pretty much anybody in the major leagues.
He leads the majors in that category.
Something that he's got to rectify. And, when he's putting the ball in the air, man, it goes a long way. He's hitting a lot of line drives now, which is definitely something you want to see. We got to put things in perspective too. He's 21 years old. So, I mean, it's going to take some time. I want to ask you a little about the Bucks too. I know you've been talking a lot about the Chris Godwin injury. I saw you have Booger McFarland on the other day. Again, listen to Tom every day at 3:00 on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. Follow him on socials at TKraz. Are you more concerned? Have you gotten more concerned with the Godwin injury over the last couple of weeks? Because that's what I've been gleaning from your show the last couple of shows.
A little bit, Jay. And, the optics of it is kind of interesting. And I'm just wondering, and this is just me speculating, and I talked about this with Booger when he was on yesterday. The Bucks get into this bidding war with the Patriots at the start of free agency. So you have to assume, at least I would at the time, and I remember I had Chris Godwin on the show after he agreed to the deal, and I asked him about his rehab. Hey, everything's going great. It's peachy keen. I'm just wondering if something happened between that point and the draft in that 6-week period. Was there not enough progress? Was there a setback? The Bucks will never come out and obviously mention that publicly. But it's fair to wonder because Ever since then, Todd Bowles, I hope he's ready for week one. Jason Light
Mhm.
said the same thing. So it's fair to wonder if Godwin's going to be ready. And obviously, it makes all the sense in the world now because they took Emeka Egbuka in round one because they are not confident that Godwin will be ready.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the move, bringing in Omeka, I think Chris Godwin for himself made the right move going back to the Buccaneers, because if he went to Jacksonville or he went to New England, I mean, they're going to expect him to go week one and to be wide receiver one. And if he wasn't going to be that guy, people would have called him a bust, and people said, "Oh, he would have just did it for the money." So like he insulated himself a little bit too by going back to the Buccaneers, because Tom, even like we'd love for him to be ready week one, but if he's not, people aren't going to freak out in the Tampa Bay area
They're
because they have the
fine.
resources. Yeah.
They do. Mike Evans is healthy. He's your wide receiver one regardless. Jalen McMillan came on like gangbusters. And Emeka Egbuka is equipped to come in right away because of where he played, how smart he is. He can line up in the slot, and he's very much like Chris Godwin. He's a tremendous blocker, lines up in the slot, can line up outside, catches the ball really, really well. Nobody's caught more balls in the history of that program than Emeka Egbuka. So I think the Buccaneers will be fine. And once you get Godwin back, I mean, the more the merrier. I mean, from 1 through 4, you can't find me another wide receiver group from 1 through 4 as good as the Buccaneers.
No doubt. Do you think, I saw something yesterday, Trey Palmer, the Steelers are looking at Trey Palmer. If you had would you move a guy like Trey Palmer to the Steelers if they came calling?
I think he is now expendable for sure
Yeah.
because of Abuka and now Jalen McMillan. You know, Mike is probably going to play a year, maybe two. Godwin is obviously locked in for the next
Mhm.
3 years. So I don't know what kind of value he has, Jay. I mean, what are we looking at here? I know the Steelers are looking at Jonnu Smith. I mean, that was the other report.
Yeah.
Trey Palmer. They're looking for some kind of weaponry because at some point, your boy Aaron Rodgers, I think, is walking through that door. Who the hell knows?
What is going on with Aaron Rodgers? He is waiting till his sweet ass time. I find it. Do you find it weird? Like, growing up, the Pittsburgh Steelers were such a venerable franchise. They did things their way. Everything was always upstanding. They made so many of the right moves. This just seems so anti-Steelers, anti-Mike Tomlin, that you would put all your eggs in a basket for a guy like Aaron Rodgers that is so volatile, and you don't even know if he's going to be good. Like, it's just such a strange move. I don't know how we got to this situation where the Pittsburgh Steelers are the team waiting for Aaron Rodgers and not some like podunk organization that has got like a 27-year-old GM that is a failure. Like, this is the Pittsburgh Steelers. What the hell are they doing?
They've won 6 Super Bowls. I mean, they've been the model of consistency. They're one of the benchmark franchises, not only in the NFL, but in all of sports.
Right.
This is very much unlike anything that they've ever done in their entire history. That's why I'm completely bewildered by this entire situation. Look, Rodgers is 42. What is he going to give you? And Terry Bradshaw talked about it the other day. What are you going to bring this guy in for 1 year? You have 12 draft picks next year. They're going to be in a great position to take one of the quarterbacks, presumably, that will be available next year.
You had Russell Wilson and Justin Fields last year, and now they're both going to start in New York, which is kind of crazy. And you could look at it like, well, maybe they aren't good, and the Steelers wouldn't even take them. Now I look at it as maybe they're better than what the Steelers think, because I don't really know if I trust their judgment if this is what they're doing going forward.
I don't trust them when it has anything to do with the offense. Defense, obviously, that's been their hallmark. Offense, Jay, in the last several years, they have no idea what they're doing. They haven't figured it out.
They're in huge trouble, I think. I think they're in huge trouble because even if it works with Rodgers, what's the ceiling? What's the ceiling with Rodgers? Where's the apex here? Because even if he plays well, are you going to beat Kansas City? Are you going to beat Buffalo? Are you going to beat Houston? Like, you're going to beat the teams in your division, Baltimore and Cincinnati and the Browns? Like, who knows, man? You're fighting a battle to be what, the 6th or 7th best team in the AFC? So, man, it's weird that they didn't even try to like reset the clock with even a Shador or somebody like that, like to try to do something, because this year, I think it's a throwaway year for the Steelers.
There's no question. They're the 3rd best team in their division. With Rodgers, I think they're a 7-10 team. I think without him, you're probably looking at a team that wins 4 games, maybe, and you put yourself at least in the top 5 discussion when it comes to next year's draft.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's talk about the main event here. Knicks win game 5 last night. No surprise, really. I mean, going into that game last night, Halliburton didn't play all that much. He didn't play that well when he was in there. Knicks did what they had to do. I love how TJ McConnell wants to talk smack, even though he had 7 points again last night. You love the guys that are bench players that can't even score more than 10 points, and they're talking smack to celebrity role. Thanks, TJ McConnell. You did an awesome job last night turning the ball over at the baseline.
Well, he played like garbage, dude.
I mean, come
on.
Terrible.
Give me a break, dude. Seriously.
Backups. Who are you? You ain't no Chris Childs. Get out of here. Game 6 coming up. Do the Knicks have a chance to, I don't want to say win the series yet, but do you think they have a chance to push it to a game 7?
I do.
Yeah, me too.
And I wouldn't have said that last night. I'm very surprised as to how poorly the Pacers played. Here you are in a position to put this series away. You cannot let a team like the Knicks back up for air, and that's exactly what they did last night. They played terribly, Jay. I was shocked as to how poorly they played. They in the lead at one point throughout that entire game. The Knicks showed that sense of urgency. They jumped on them. Brunson was great in the first quarter. He was great in the second half. Karl Anthony Towns, I'm telling you, forget about settling behind the arc. I mean, you're 7 feet tall. When he puts the ball on the floor and goes to the basket, there's nobody who can stop him. Nobody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they don't turn the basketball over, I think they have a really good chance of winning game 6. It just comes down to turnovers. And one thing that I really liked last night was Coach Thibodeau understood what his rotations needed to be, putting Landry Shamet in, putting DeLon Wright. I made that mention yesterday. I said he's got to figure out his rotation because he hasn't done it all year long, getting those guys involved. Now he had them involved. He put them in at the right times last night. It seemed like in that day of preparation before game 5, Thibodeau knew what his rotation needed to look like. I don't think he's done that at all in this entire postseason because he's been playing pretty much 8, maybe 9 guys. But now he's putting Achua in. He's putting I was going to say Landry Shamet in. He's putting in DeLon Wright. I feel like Thibodeau may have tipped the scales a little bit. How do you feel about the Knicks' depth? Because people say that it is a problem, but now you're going 10 guys now on this bench.
I think Tibbs has done a really good job of figuring things out, I think, in the last couple of games. If you notice, he's made some refinements. He has gone deeper into his bench because I think Shamet can play. We know Deuce McBride can play. He's bringing Josh Hart in off the bench. I think that's probably his best asset to this point.
Right.
Mitchell Robinson starting is absolutely the right move. I thought he was phenomenal, by the way, last night on both ends of the floor. And you're seeing how the Knicks are working Jalen Brunson in certain situations, having Nesmith, who, by the way, again, he did not look like himself. I think the ankle is definitely bothering him. They're working Brunson off the ball, off screens. He's getting to the basket. The Knicks points in the paint. I think they had 60 points in the paint last night. They forced 20 turnovers. Their defensive intensity, Jay, was, to me, the one thing that really stood out. Pacers turned it over 20 times, and I think that was the reason why the Knicks were able to win. If they can somehow replicate that tomorrow night, things are going to get really interesting around here.
I said it was going to go 7 games before the series started. It doesn't matter how you get there, just get there. The question is, though, can either one of these teams beat the Thunder? Because I don't think so.
No, they can't. And plus, the Thunder are going to be well rested now. They're going to have like a week. They're getting a week of rest, so no one's going to stop them. Their defense is suffocating. They've got outstanding depth. They've got 3 stars that they can lean on. They are an incredible basketball team, and they are built, Jay, to be really good for several years. All those guys are really young players.
Yeah, and it helps that some of their young guys, SGA and Chet Holmgren, they're not even in line for that max deal quite yet. So when that I mean, your 2 best guys aren't making making the most amount of money, I mean, you're in a good spot. All right, real quick, last one. Who wins the Stanley Cup final, Panthers or Oilers?
I'm impressed with what Edmonton did against Dallas. I thought Dallas would win that series, but Connor McDavid completely took that series over, and they kind of had Dallas back on their heels after game 1. I can't go away from Florida, Jay. You've seen them, obviously. I've seen them. I think they're built to win between their special teams, their goaltending, the experience. I know this is a rematch of last year. Yep. Last year's series was, very exciting, obviously, went right down to the wire. I expect the same thing to happen in this series. I'm going to take Florida in 7.
The last 2 times that there has been a rematch in the finals, and this is since the league expanded in 1975, the team that came back and lost the first year won the second year. So the Islanders and the Oilers, and then the Penguins and the Red Wings. So I think this might be the year Connor McDavid gets over the hump. But you can't bet against the Florida Panthers, and you can't bet against Tom Krasniqi at TKras on all social media platforms. He's live from Moss Nissan in North Tampa today. Eric Neander at 3:30. Again, live every day at 3 o'clock on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. I mean, you should sign me up for imaging, bro. That's the kind of stuff that you can put on your show on the airwaves.
You're not kidding. There's nothing else that needs to be said there.
You're the best, man. Thanks so much for your time. Have a great show today. I'll definitely talk to you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me, brother. I really appreciate you, Jay.
You got it. Go Knicks, pal.
All right. Go Knicks.
Yeah.